It's Shirley with Spirit of Matter. Here on a Saturn day, the hour of Sol, the hour of the Sun. The ascendant is on the 22nd degree of Aries, ruled by Mars, that is very tightly opposing Uranus in the 8th house, where I am. Moon in the 7th house, 27 degrees Libra squaring Pluto, okay? And the ascendant is conjuncting Aries in Aries, which is also ruled by this Mars. Midheaven is ruled by Saturn, which is in the 12th, so 14 degrees Capricorn. And this episode is actually a study life of Iceland. And what prompted this episode is actually the series of earthquakes, and there is a concern about a volcano in Iceland. So I'm going to do a study with me live. First of all, I'm going to take a look at the chart of Iceland, and then some transits, and if I get to it, then I will do some astrocartography. First of all, my heart is with the people. People have been evacuated for concern from a volcano. So you could get updated, I believe, online. And yes, earthquake is also something that can be lethal. But here with the 22nd degree in Aries, I'm wondering, okay? Now, the Mars opposition Uranus, I talked about it yesterday. It's an explosive one, absolutely, with the vicinity. Sun here is on the 18th degree of Scorpio. She also applies to and is within orb to oppose this Uranus, okay? And Sun conjuncting Mars opposing Uranus is a very explosive. Uranus is in Taurus, so when we get Uranus triggered, yes, we can have revolution, we can have thoughts about liberation, idealism, also of revolutionary people, but also necessary liberations, and so on and so forth. But we can also have natural disaster. Uranus in an earth sign, fixed earth sign, can give quakes, which is what happened also in Iceland. I haven't checked the entire seismic map. And with the Mars in Scorpio opposing, that can give us a result that is both of the waters in the deep well, so bubbling waters in the deep well. But in this case, and of course, water pollution and all the things we're concerned about, in this case can also be eruption. Okay, people were concerned about volcanic eruption, and astrology unfortunately became very literal. There is a concern about a volcanic eruption in Iceland. I don't know if it already happened or just concerned, but there were many earthquakes. And let's just take a look at the chart of Iceland. So, oh my gosh, so this is the first thing that catches my eye. Okay, it has ascendant 20 degrees Cancer with ascendant conjuncting Uranus. Okay, Uranus on 23 degrees Cancer, which is in the vicinity of Procyon. Yes, I don't know if it's exactly in orb, but it's within the vicinity of Procyon, which is already interesting to have the conjoining of Procyon and Uranus. This brings me to the feeling that I have when I read about what's happening in Iceland. There was something that was settling to my mind. Of course, not the disaster itself, but there was this explosiveness of Mars Uranus. And when I looked at that, for some reason, it released certain energy. that was very interesting to observe. And I think about this Uranus as energy releasing that perhaps leads to Procyon like insights. One thing I think about Iceland is, yes, the way women liberated themselves and became equal in the parliament was by abstaining from sex with their husband. Now you must understand this can only work when women sexual rights are mostly honored. This is probably not something that Afghani women can do. Unless they are armed, okay? Or Palestinian women can do unless they are armed. Israeli in between. Some can, some yes, some no. But in Iceland it worked, and women they were abstaining from sex with the husband, and then women became with equal place to women in the parliament. And some more equal rights. So this is a very famous story. If you study politics, I actually did not hear it in my studies. I heard it from a person who was studying also things to do with public policy or something like that. So, but the other thing that caught my attention was, hey, this midheaven on 24th degree of Aquarius. This is very interesting. The first thing I have to admit was like, oh my God, the midheaven is in the 8th house. So there is a lot of transformation and can be, unfortunately, also trauma. I see the Pluto-Saturn, which is I call it the depression conjunction, because this was the conjunction of the generation of the depression, okay, the Pluto-Saturn conjunction. But this one is in Aquarius. Let's take a look at the birth chart. It's 1786, 12 a.m., August 18, Friday. So they were born on a Venus day in August. 1786. This is Reykjavik, Iceland. I hope I was pronouncing it right. So first of all, yes, midheaven in 8th house tells me that there is a lot of transformation. Unfortunately, there can be trauma, a traumatic event. And yeah, the conjoining of Pluto-Saturn, I will address it later, but first, this midheaven. Usually, it's an unusual place for midheaven to be, okay? Midheaven usually is between the 9th and the 11th house, very rarely the 12th or the 8th, and this one is in the 8th house, okay? But there is something quite redemptive about the location of this midheaven. It's on 24th degree of Aquarius, and this is conjoining a fixed star called Deneb Algedi. It is, I have to admit, it is so relaxing for me to do this video because they are planning an attack they're planning something like the completion of the 7th of October. So it's my redemptive activity to change my mood. So 24th degree, Deneb Algedi is very much associated with wealth redistribution, okay? It can both guard your wealth. Yes, it can absolutely guard your wealth or guard your property or your belongings if it is the right thing to do. Okay, if it is the right thing to do, it can guard your belongings. It's very, for refugees, for people in both Israel and Palestine right now, it's very good to petition Deneb Algedi, although nothing conjuncts it. Again, it's a spiritual being, so a petition. And now it's a Saturday, which is, it's associated also, I think, with Saturn and Jupiter, I'm not sure. But this tropical Aquarius, Saturn is appropriate. So petitioning Deneb Algedi to protect the belongings and redistribute wealth. Also in terms of housing, of land, so that all people, regardless of nationality, will have a place to live, to be safe, and that their belongings, the things that genuinely that their belongings will be with them or will be retrieved, or that they will have wealth. Okay, so this is about wealth redistribution. It is about it's not about taking from the rich and giving to the poor, because there is enough. But if, God forbid, you have to steal, okay, when Mercury was crossing this, I got guidance when I was in between houses, where to steal from, where to steal food from in particular, so that this is the correct way the correct place to steal from. If you, God forbid, have to steal, and it's not about Robin Hood, I needed this food for myself. And yes, if asking for people is unsafe or is useless, if they don't cooperate or they can't, okay, so then if you have to get food, then Balgidi can also guide you in this wealth redistribution, okay. Normally it will guide you in correct ways, correct behavior, and redistribute wealth. And so here, this midheaven and eighth house has to do with depth, with joint assets. And again, I don't know too much about the history of Iceland, which is also great to do a study with me live right now, because I'm learning this myself. But you see, this is very interesting. Okay, the midheaven is basically the raison d'etre for the foundation of this country. Probably another elected chart was to, by or through transformation, to deliver the wealth to the people who need it. Okay, to deliver wealth across humanity. This is so new to me, because Iceland to me is just this country that is never involved in anything horrid. So it's like the vacation is so expensive, when people travel. I've never been there, therefore, and it's an island, so it's isolated. And now I'm looking at the chart and I'm like, oh my God, this is very interesting. So the ruler of the midheaven is Saturn, is retrograde together with Pluto in the 8th house in Aquarius. So Saturn conjoining Pluto. Saturn is structure, but also Saturn in Aquarius is alternative structure. Okay, think about the alternative schools, or a school for children who don't fit with the system. Okay, a school for neurodivergent children. Okay, it's alternative structure. And Pluto is transformation, of course. So it's a transformation also of the alternative structure, and a transformation of humanity. I wonder how they were during COVID, because they're supposed to show something different during COVID. They're supposed to deal with it differently with this chart, I believe. Yeah. Can also be quite scientific, structure of science, maybe some revolutionary scientists, but revolutionary that we call revolutionary. For them, they just been scientists. That's the way I see it. But for the world, like, this is revolutionary. Okay, Jupiter, they're about to have a Jupiter return. Jupiter is in 20 degrees Taurus, where Uranus was, and now Uranus is retrograde, applying to this Jupiter. Okay, something releasing, the energy was releasing there. I don't know what's going in Iceland, but some energy release was going there. I hope people are safe. Some big energy release, something healing even. I don't know. Very interesting. The moon in. By the way, I'm thinking about it. In the 7th of October, did I feel releasing when what happened? Because it was supposed to be like, oh, Palestinians are breaking out, but they didn't. It was just people who were for us we call it terror, but I cannot call freedom fighter to people who behead and slaughter and rape. Um, uh, you could say maybe to kill people was necessary, okay, to kidnap, I don't know, but definitely not to rape people or to behead children or to torture people. I don't think that was liberation, but it was also not opening the door for like Palestinian people to walk out of Gaza or something like that. And I'm trying to think if I felt a release like the one I felt when there was this, when I read about what happened today in Iceland, like a energy release. No, felt very heavy actually, very doom and gloom. Um, yes, it was Holocaust for Israel, but it's not only that. It's at first I thought, oh, maybe these Palestinians could go out and that, but no, it's not that, because immediately I understood that the 2030 thingy. But here there was some energy release. I don't know. Maybe it's really a natural disaster. Because sometimes they bomb things like at sea. They bomb things, so you think it's tsunami, it's this. But this one, maybe this one is really a natural disaster. If you feel this release of energy. Oh well, I really hope people are safe. This is most important. The moon in Gemini, 12 degrees in the 12th house. Trining this Pluto and Saturn. Okay, moon is the people. But this is an island, so people are isolated as an island, but there's also the element that the people are isolated, but also this is maybe the people have hotels or zimmers or stuff like that, or retreat, or resorts. It's known for its resorts, actually, for the geysers, right? The warm springs. It's actually known for its warm springs. I wonder. They don't have anything in particular in Scorpio. Scorpio is 5th house, and 5th is in the 3rd. The ruler is Mars. And then conjoining Mercury. Mercury in Virgo, 21 degree, both of them. And Virgo, yes, Mercury is in its home sign. The conjunction with Mars, although conjunction is hard aspect, Mercury is adaptable. Mars in Virgo can be like sharp words. Okay, so for the people, it seems like it's because it's an Iceland, so island. It's an isolated place, but people can feel isolated, especially young people, because like the people is the moon, and they can feel isolated. But there can also be awareness to mental health, because this is also the hospital or the jail. And they could have some sort of uniqueness in the way that they deal with hospitals or jail. I don't know. I need to learn about this. I know about Norwegian, but Iceland, new to me. Sun, 25 degrees Leo, 2nd house. So Sun in the 2nd house is natural resources, is the resources of the country, is known for its warm springs, for its nature, but unfortunately for volcanic eruption too. The moon here is not sextiling, but is having a I think it's called a semi-square, which is actually a hard aspect between the moon and the sun. Okay, so there's intricacy between, it's like the leaders are kind of strong, but the people are not so powerful here. Yeah, whole sign speaking, Venus is in the 4th house in Libra, 3 degrees Libra. Oh, they're now having a Venus return as well. I hope they will have better events than a volcanic eruption for the Venus return. And they're having Ketu now in the sign of the people. Unfortunately, some women perhaps can, we can lose some women And the 10th house is also house of leadership, which is ruled by Mars. And Rahu is there. So there are changes in leadership, I think. But it's like more power given to the leadership and a bit less to the people now. And that I don't like. Neptune in the 14th degree in Libra in the 4th house. So Neptune in the 4th house. It can be a country, actually it can be a country that can be hosting spies, healthcare people, international spies, because Libra is kind of like international relations, and here maybe international spies are living there. This is interesting. And the 9th house is Pisces, with the ruler Jupiter in the 11th. Okay. So this is the natal chart. It's just the natal chart. Okay, nothing too deep. And they have the Mars, Uranus and the Sun square as opposition in the Scorpio-Taurus axis. Again, because Uranus is in 21 degrees Taurus, applying to conjunct this Jupiter, then, and this is 11th house, and Scorpio is 5th house. But the ruler Mars, okay, the ruler Venus is in Libra as the 4th house. Okay, so people were evacuated as the result of this. And unfortunately, we might lose some women. And Mars is ruler of the 5th. Okay, but in the 3rd house. And this tells me, and it's also ruling this 10th house. And so one thing can be is that it's not so natural disaster. It's like leaders that want to take over or something like this. Or that this is interesting because the sun here was also oh yes, I understand. Okay, because a lot of people are evacuated, then the leaders they kind of like with the Mars sun, it's kind of like in many countries leaders sell the country to the 2030 thingy, and here is like the leaders kind of because the sun is really natural resources, and this is happening here. It's like a natural disaster or a natural disaster, so that the leaders can take more resources, because the leaders is both the sun and the 10th house, and so they want to take the land. They want to take the land from the people, which is, we know it, like you don't have to delineate from that. But it was release energy, like was there a volcanic eruption there? I don't know. But it is happening on the 5th and 11th axis, conjuncting this Jupiter. And this is actually a Uranus sextile Uranus. Okay, it's a Uranus sextile Uranus, and it's a closing. Okay, Uranus is coming to conjunct, so it's closing its cycle in the sextile. So while Uranus is not yet on the 23rd degree of Taurus, this is some sort of a completion cycle. They want to modernize the island even more. And so it's a good destination. It seems like a good destination for the 2030 agenda. But what I like here is that the midheaven is on 24th degrees Aquarius. Okay. So whatever the leaders try to do here, in the midheaven, it's kind of blocked. Because midheaven is on the Balgadi. And it's wealth redistribution. So there is some attempt to kind of a coup of the leaders here, to take advantage of it, to maybe build like the 15-minute city, the this, the that. But the midheaven is doing something, and I think the midheaven is kind of like maybe like a volcanic eruption. Like there is chaos that prevents any, because Uranus is about high technology, but it's also chaotic liberation energy, okay? And it's a country that's to do with liberation of the people, and the people are ruling the ascendant. However isolated they are ruling the direction of this country. And what the leaders here may try to do, not try to do, they're very strong. They have a lot of resources. This is why they want to lead this country. But the midheaven, like there's a lot of guard. I will be following Iceland, because the ascendant conjunct in Uranus and the vicinity to Procyon, and ascendant Cancer is ruled by the moon. The moon is in the 12th house. But it's like these people that are isolated and so, they are, not only that in Gemini they are cunning, they have their they know how, they have the know-how of many things, but also the midheaven of the country is in 24 degrees, so it's redistribution of wealth. And so implementing 2030 here will be very, very difficult. Even impossible. So I'm excited. I have a smile on my face when I look at the chart of this country. It's not without problems. Okay, Venus here does not receive any supporting aspect. She is at home. She's not aspect favorably. And she conjoins a lot of fortune. And remember what I said, I did not do zodiac releasing from that. But remember what I said about women here, and immediately kind of like how women did something with intimate relationships with their husbands and they got to parliament. This was fated for this country. Okay, so the equality of women is fated for this country. I like this place. It's not necessarily easy to live in because there is this isolation. You have to know tricks and stuff. And the people are at the vicinity of the leaders. Very, very interesting. Please, I'm not sure there is not Tseva Adom here, so I have to answer this call and I will continue some